Back here talking Mavs Clippers. You can't say the Clippers didn't show up. All 5 starters ended up in double figures, but when push came to shove, they just couldn't stop Luka. And now the Clippers need to win Game 6 in Dallas and Game 7 at home to advance to round 2. Right? Or a two-way player. Road team has won all 5 games thus far. How about that? We got former Clippers guy, current Clipper, all-around Clippers guy, Chris Broussard here to break down his Clippers. No, Broussard, who do you blame for the loss last night?
Well, look, obviously, a lot of people are to blame, but you have to start with the best player. I said it yesterday about LeBron on Undisputed. The best player gets most of the credit when they win, and the best player has to get most of the blame when they lose. So that obviously is Kawhi Leonard, 7 for 19 from the floor. He had been tremendous. We all know that, especially in games 3 and 4. He was unstoppable. And yesterday he laid an egg. You're at home. You have a chance to take total control of the series, and you go 7 for 19, 1 of 7 from 3. You continue when you guard Luka, which seems to be rare. But when you do guard him, you got no answer for him. And in that corner 3, I'm not always jumping on somebody for missing a game-winning shot or potential game-tying shot as that was. But it was just a bad shot. Obviously, it was heavily contested because he pump-faked initially. And then he airballs it. And so that Kawhi is the most to blame. He wears the lion's share of it. Paul George carried him at times. Obviously, 10 points in the fourth quarter, looked really good at times. However, he had 2 big turnovers late, in the last 5 minutes. And so he's not blameless either. But I got to put most of it on Kawhi Leonard.
So, yeah, and Kawhi Leonard from the same spot on the court that Paul George hit the side of the backboard. Kawhi Leonard one-upped him and said, I'll just hit none of the backboard or the rim or the net or anything. I'll miss it by 2 feet. So here's the thing. Kawhi had been great. He was good-ish in Game 1. He was spectacular in Games 2, 3, and 4. And he was bad yesterday. Now, can we give a guy a bad game? Absolutely. Do we need to acknowledge it was a bad game? For sure. Do we need to have the discussion? What would a first-round loss do to Kawhi Leonard's legacy? Of course not. It'd be idiotic. We would only do that to LeBron James, but it's what Kawhi's staring at. It'd be, by the way, the 2nd of his career. 1 shy of Michael Jordan's 3, but of course 2 more than LeBron's current 0. That's neither here nor there. So Kawhi gets the lion's share of it, but the other people who do are Lawrence Frank and Michael Winger. And can we show the layup missed? Because what you're going to see is when Luka has a bad turnover late, you'll see Kawhi never go inside the 3-point line. But what you'll also see is Terrence Mann get the ball, give it to Paul George. Paul George inexplicably gives it right back to Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann then passes to Nick Batum, missed layup and missed tip in Tim Hardaway. Kawhi's out there on the periphery. So should Kawhi go get the ball? Maybe, yeah. But why do I say Lawrence Frank and Michael Winger? Because they built this roster. And somehow, in the final minute of a 1-point Game 5 playoff game, your best options are Nick Batum and Terrence Mann, 2 of your 5. I've been saying it all postseason. It's not a great roster. You've got a great player in Kawhi. You've got a very good player in Paul George. I thought before the series that would be enough to beat the Mavs, who have 1 great player and then a bunch of guys. But it's not, because they can't slow down the great player on the Mavs. He's averaging 35. And in the biggest moment, Kawhi had his worst game. And it's like, oh, but they have playoff Rondo. And it looks like, oh, playoff Rondo, what's he doing? Oh, 6 points, 6 assists per game on 35% shooting. Oh, but they've got Patrick Beverley. No, he doesn't play anymore. Oh, they've got Reggie Jackson. He had a great 3rd quarter last night. Give him credit for that. And so Kawhi's going to wear it, Brandon, because he was bad yesterday. But this is not a championship roster. It's never been a championship roster. And we now have 3 rounds of the playoffs showing us from last year and this year, they've never gotten the roster right.
Right. All right. So let's reset the table real quick, because I want everybody that's watching right now to understand this and know that everybody on this panel picked the Clippers to win this series. Nick, you abandoned them early after game 2. Chris, you abandoned them. You said it was over. Wilds, you went out there and you also said, oh, it's over. Look, it's not over. It's definitely not over. For you guys to criticize a Kawhi, Paul George, Reggie, playoff Rondo is taken away from Luka, a guy who's been sensational all series. A guy who's potentially going to be the face of the NBA in a couple years. Luka was magical, Nick. I don't know what you did with this guy in the offseason, raising him and as he was growing up, because you always talk about him being your stepson, your godson, or whatever you call it. But he was sensational. From the second 3 he made, you saw it in his eyes. You know when you just can find the bottom of the bucket, he's going to be there all night. This dude was phenomenal outside of a few minutes where he seemed a little tired. But you guys criticizing Paul George and the others and Kawhi and the others is taken away from him. If you look at the box scores, what you're going to see is you're going to see the Clippers. They played a really good game. They played a complete team game. The Reggie Jackson that you said after the first game, oh, Reggie Jackson's never been good in the play. He stepped up. He played well. All right, and then you're going to look at the other side, and you're going to see guys just playing okay in Dallas, and Luka being sensational. So Luka was the difference, Nick.
Yeah, but it's Kawhi and Paul George's job to stop him. It's not golf. It's not like, well, I shot 11 under this round, but man, he shot 13 under. It's your job to stop him. So if one guy is annihilating you, then it's like, okay, who's supposed to be guarding him? Well, you've got Paul George, who, when they acquired him, you said was one of the best two-way players in basketball. You've got Kawhi Leonard, who once upon a time was the best defensive player in basketball. And last night, Kawhi Leonard, again, heavy is the head that wears the fake New Balance crown. And he tried to put it on. So now you've got, in Game 5, Wilds, you've got a guy who on defense, let me just finish this, then go ahead, Brandon. In Game 5, on defense, he got cooked. On offense, he was awful. And at the end of the game, he airballed the game-time shot. That happened. So you can't just be like, well, you know, he
Brandon,
tried.
come on.
Well, let me throw this out here. Let me throw. All right, that's fine. All right, that's fine. That point taken. But who stopped Michael Jordan? Who stops LeBron James? Who stops KD? Who stops Steph Curry? That's what we're dealing with. That's my point. It's like you guys are talking about this as if Luka.
We're dealing with Michael Jordan now?
Yeah, Luka.
But guess what?
Luka is going to go down as a top 10 player ever. If he continues this, he's going to go down as a top 10.
And guess what?
Slow down.
But hold on. But guess what? Wilds, you know who stopped Michael Jordan every single year in the playoffs? The Celtics or the Pistons or whomever the hell, until Jordan got great teammates. You know who stopped LeBron early in his career? No, hold on. This isn't a shot at Jordan. My point is, Broussard, that when Jordan was on a team with 0 other All-Stars, because the other All-Stars showed up for the opposition. KD got bounced in round 1 early when he didn't have other guys. LeBron, of course, LeBron didn't get bounced in round 1 to the benefit of being the greatest player ever, but still, he wasn't winning titles.